I'm Bob Shear. Join me on a trip to the future as we explore the world of extreme green. Sustainable living. What does that really mean, and is it really possible? Sustaining human life requires at least the essentials of water, food, shelter, and energy. The systems we use now to supply these needs are all under tremendous stress, and making them sustainable over the long term will require major fundamental change. On Extreme Green, we'll show you how that can be done. We'll take you to meet pioneers who are working on exciting new technologies and show you simple, sometimes ancient approaches that will drastically change the way we live. We'll show you working models for food and water systems, housing, transportation, and community design that move far beyond what you've seen and that truly hold the promise for a healthy, sustainable world. The first thing you notice when you come into an Earthship is that the air feels different. Because there are growing plants inside every Earthship, you'll notice a lot more humidity in the air. It's a lot more comfortable for me, and I think for most people, to live in a house like this, to be in a house like this. The other thing is the air is almost constant temperature of 70 degrees. The reason for that is that this house is positioned so that the sunshine will come into the home and will warm the surfaces of the building. The floor is designed to absorb solar radiation. As we get closer to winter, the summer sun moves lower in the sky, and it keeps the home warmer in winter, cooler in summer. It's a fantastic element of design that requires nothing more than windows and the positioning of the home and floors and other surfaces that provide a kind of thermal mass, a way of storing that energy that's then later released back into the air. A similar kind of phenomenon happens with water. This house gets all of its water from rainfall on the roof. Rain falls onto the roof of this house, it goes into a water collector where it stays until it's needed. Because there is no municipal water system providing the pressure for this system, we're providing all of our water system functions right here. The difference is it came from this very plot, and it will stay, almost all of it, on this plot until it ultimately makes its way back into the aquifer. When we run water in this house, to cook, to wash your hands, to wash your dishes, it's going into a planter. This is called a greywater system, and the greywater systems in Earthships have a unique feature. They tend to have these long planters. The planter is an artificial wetland. The natural work of the bacteria in the soil will clean the water enough that it can be later used for another purpose. Instead of flushing your toilet with drinking water, you flush your toilet with water that's already been used, not just once, but twice. It's been used for whatever purpose you used it for, and it's been used by the plants. Laura, you've been in your new home for a year now, and you're ready to get started on your exterior landscaping.
Yes.
What are you hoping to achieve?
Ideally, we would like to get back to a more native California landscape that's more drought resistant, that takes a lot less water. And I think there are a lot of ways we can do that, looking at plants, getting a greywater system.
And you have small children, so you're looking for a kid-friendly environment.
And on the environmental front, we want them to understand that this is what you can do in your own yard. You don't have to use that much water. You can grow your own plants. I think there are a lot of lessons they can learn if we change this.
Laura contracted with our friends at California Greywater Corps to design a system to help meet her goals. They set to work connecting what is the major water-using appliance in most homes to a planting bed in her backyard.
This is the type of diverter valve that we use. It's a 3-port valve. It can send water either to the sewer, which it's going to now, or to the landscape.
By diverting the water into her garden, Laura's greywater system will allow her to plant fruit trees in her backyard, irrigated almost entirely with the water that has already been used in her high-efficiency washing machine. With some advice from Farmscape Gardens, Laura found she could meet more of her goals with a raised bed vegetable garden that she decided to locate in her family's front yard.
Generally, when we install beds, we install them in 4-foot increments, both width and length.
Okay.
It's probably not enough to entirely offset your entire, vegetable and produce purchasing budget, but you can make a pretty big dent in how much produce you're buying from the store.
And I think seeing vegetables growing here as opposed to the sort of traditional ornamental planting is going to communicate a very different but a much more kind of homey feel for
Well, and a look that I would prefer, so I think that's great.
When the Farmscape crew returned to install Laura's planter, they incorporated great ideas on everything from critter control and soil composition to a simple drip system that produces an abundance of food with very little water.
So, Laura, your system is finished.
Yes.
You've been living with it for a while. How's it working out for you?
It's great. It's so great I actually don't check on it very often.
Well, for such young trees, they seem like they're doing great.
Yeah, I think we picked a pretty good size in terms of maturity, that, we're going to get fruit this year, but we picked dwarf trees so they wouldn't get too tall, so we'd still have a view.
Well, that's one of the nice things about doing a system like this. You can select the size tree that you want for the size of your property. So you wanted to preserve a view.
And we can still walk around. This is Mexican lime. It's funny, this one has grown taller than the others, probably because it gets the most sun, but the fruit is about the same. And these are the emitters for the greywater system.
Right. And
it's still damp. We haven't done laundry in probably a day and a half.
it's doing its job. It's getting the moisture down where it needs to be got.
And the kids know now that if they come down after laundry, we take the top off and you can see the water coming out.
Well, this is really great. Can we see how your vegetables are doing?
Sure.
This is amazing.
Check out our abundance of tomatoes. Not that that's all that's here, but we're fairly astonished. I don't know if you remember, but almost everything started just from seeds, and the tomato plants were tiny.
Oh, yes.
And we had a salad the other night of lettuce, cucumber, brandywine tomatoes, sun gold tomatoes, the yellow squash, and some yellow flat beans, all from the garden.
Well, you've got your food production, obviously plenty of food production, but you had said that you wanted to give the children the experience of seeing that food doesn't come from the supermarket, that you can participate with nature in making your own food. And it sounds like they're really into this project.
Yeah, that was really high on our list. We want them to understand, sun, water, plant something, it comes up. If you want a salad, you don't have to get in your car and go to the store and buy the vegetables. You can actually come outside and get it from the garden. We have a watering system, so they don't need to water, but we'll give them little watering cans so that they can participate. And they understand it. Before dinner, they'll sometimes say vegetable garden, and they'll come outside and pick what's ready.
A garden like this one can make it possible for almost anybody to get started growing their own food. But what if you could grow your food year-round, inside your house?
Hi, Bob.
Hey, it's a little chilly out.
Oh, yeah, I think it got down below zero.
It is. It's about zero now. And we're looking at tropical flowers blooming. This is really amazing.
Yeah, come on in.
So this is a greenhouse built into a home. What are we growing in here?
We got figs growing in here, lemon trees, avocado, tomatoes, herbs, grapevine right here.
And I see we have tropical birds to match.
That's correct.
So this house is really capable of a huge amount of food production.
Well, I'd say a third of the floor space is planter space.
So we're producing food in a completely sustainable environment that effectively costs nothing to operate. This is the house of the future. This is the house that my grandchildren are going to grow up in, something like this. And I want to see the inside. I want to see what this looks like as a home.
Let's check it out.
There's lots more we have to show you in this series as we explore the extreme green path to sustainable living. It's a fascinating trip, and I know you'll want to join us.